this is Jamie Magridge. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Let's get started. Let me bring in my box here. I'm using the Coming Home stamp set and the matching dies, which are Home Together dies. I use a little car, both trees, this little light stand, and then there's little snowflakes. I'm using the layering squares. I'm using 3rd and the 4th from the largest. These are the dies. I'm also using the little snowflake dies from Trio of Tags. Put these aside for a minute. Okay. I have a few blends we're going to use. Put them right back in the box. I have Mossy Meadow, Soft Suede, Balmy Blue, combos, and then the light gray granite. For embellishments, I have some little snowflake sequins. These were left over from a paper pumpkin, but there are some in the new catalog, and one little tiny basic rhinestone. Put those over there. Okay, for paper, I have 2 black squares that were cut out using both of these square dies together. I have a bunch of scrap paper because I need to stamp some things on. This is the scrap that I already prior cut out the snowflakes so that I had them already done. I only need 3 of them, but it cuts out 2 at a time. I have 2 pieces of 2 by 3 inch Whisper White, and out of these I'm going to take the smaller of those that square die. I'm going to line it up so that 3 sides are the same and it's wider at the bottom, and cut that square out. I'll do that in just a second. I have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of the In Color Designer Series paper, 6 by 6. I have I think it's 5 1/4 inch larger. Let's see, it's just like a 1/16 inch less than a 5 1/2 by 4, and it's not even a full 16th less, or a full 1/8 less. It's like just a tiny bit less than a 4 1/4 and a tiny bit less than 5 1/2, and that's just so that when you mount it on the front of the card you get just a tiniest little bit of a white edge. And my card base is the thick 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored and folded at 4 1/4. And how is this getting ink on it? Oh, this is annoying me. Okay, I gotta figure this out. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I figured it out. I just set this on top of my inked stamps. That was kind of silly. Okay, so let me set this aside for a minute. I'm going to bring in my die cut machine. I don't have the new one yet. I probably won't get it right away just because I just purchased this one a little bit ago, so I can't really justify spending the money I don't have yet. Okay, now I'm going to use this machine, and first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check my bottom plate. It has a little bit of spring to it, so I'm going to tip it over. Now I'm going to put this, it's 2 by 3 inches. This is that smaller of those 2 squares. I'm going to line it up so that the top and the two sides are the same distance away from the edge, as close as I can get it. I'm going to put the top plate on. And run it through my machine. And you probably should tape it so that it stays where you put it. We're going to need both pieces, but we're done with this die. So I'm going to go ahead and put my machine away. I need both of those. Alright. Now let's do some stamping. Put that aside for a minute. I'll bring in those scratch pieces. I need 2 large trees and 3 smaller ones. That probably will be enough. But we'll leave these over here just in case. I'll bring in the tree stamps. And I need the car. And we're going to use for this stamping memento ink. Up well and stamp it. Perfect. Okay, what did I do? Right in front of my face. I need 2 of these trees. Okay, then I'm going to need 3 of this little tree. I might be able to get it on here, but I'll just do 1 on here. That one's smeared, so. Okay, so we'll do our coloring of this now. Bring in those blends. Okay. Now I colored the beetle a light blue color because I used to have one of those. It kind of gave me some good memories. So I'm going to take the fine tip of the dark balmy blue and I'm going to go above the bumpers, and I'm going to go around where this doors would be with the dark. Just a little like that. I don't know if you can really see it. Okay, then I'm going to take the light and color in the rest of the car, and I'm using the small tip because it's a small area. Small spaces, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, I also used this and I colored in the hubcaps. Okay, and I came in with the gray, light gray granite. And I colored in this, it's probably supposed to be white wall, but I'm going to color it in like it's metal. And color these bumpers. And I'm going to color a little bit of shadow in these windows just so they don't look straight white. Okay, then that can be set aside to die cut out. Now the trees are all going to be colored the same. I'm going to take the dark mossy meadow, and I'm going to do like flicking from the tops of each of the spaces. A little bit more solid here underneath the stems, or underneath where the layers are. And I'm going to come in with the brush tip of the light one, and I'm going to color them in. Try to blend that out just a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to come back in with the dark. And I'm going to add a little bit more lining. Not a lot, but just to give it a little bit more color definition. And look a little bit more like pine needles. Okay, and then I'm going to take the dark soft suede. I'm going to color towards the base of the stem here, and then up one side, and then go in with a light and color in the rest of the stem. And I'm going to do that for all of those trees, so I'm going to do that off camera and I will be right back. Okay, I've got those all colored in. Now I can come in with the matching dies and go run them through my die cutting machine. And when I'm done with that, I will be right back. And I'm going to die cut all of the pieces. And I've already, like I said, die cut the snowflakes. I only need 3 of them. Okay, so I will be right back when this is done. Okay, I've got all my little pieces cut. Let's set them aside over here. So actually, let's just do this. Move the whole thing, and I'll leave this one here. Okay, now we're going to bring in our squares. I want to make sure we have them. I think they're square, but just want to make sure we got them the right way, just in case they're not. Okay, they're perfect. Okay, and we're going to bring in a piece of Post-it note, and all I did was take my scissors and just cut a little edge. And I want it to be on the sticky edge because I want some of that sticky edge to show. And I'm varying the size, and so that's all I did. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to take and put it on here like this. I could maybe do both of them at once. Okay, I'm going to bring in a scratch paper. Can you see that? I think you can. And I'm going to use one of my makeup brushes. You can use whatever you choose. I'm going to use Balmy Blue. It's a little brighter. You'll see what I'm doing. That'll be helpful. Markers. Ink up the. Dab it off a little bit so you don't get the harshness. And then I'm going to sponge over the hill just a little bit. Anything below it's going to be really white. Okay, then I'm going to move it up. I'm actually gonna, let's just swap them, I guess. So the hills are different. Move it up. Do that again. Now I'm going to continue and I'm going to ink this whole sky area. Forgot to dab off.
You can see how it gets darker there.
You can just keep blending and it'll all blend in. You want to make sure you're getting the edges. Okay. Looks good. Alright. Now I'm going to come in see which one do I want to be which. This doesn't make any difference. I'm going to come in with this tree and the Memento ink. I'm going to ink this up. And where did my mask go? I want to put the mask on so that I'm not inking up the bottom of it, or stamping the bottom, and I'm going to stamp that so that it looks like there's one of those trees in the distance. Okay. Then on this one, we're going to come in with
the little lamppost.
I'm going to stamp that up here on this side. Perfect. Alright. Now we're going to come in with this little snowflakes. And we're done with the Memento for the moment. And we're going to come in with a Seaside spray ink this time. Actually, let's just use the same Balmy Blue, is fine. That way we just need the 2 inks. We're just going to stamp some snowflakes. Across the background. Just turn it and keep stamping. Okay. And I think we're ready to assemble this card. I'll bring in our pieces. This one with the lantern, we're going to glue down our car. And I'm just using wet glue. I'm going to glue that down here. And I'm going to come in with a Balmy Blue marker. And I'm going to draw some, oops, try it. Draw some shadow lines underneath its wheels. Like that. And I'm going to come in with one of the trees, whichever one you want to use. I'll put some glue on the back of it. And I'm going to put that on top of the car. Like that. Okay, now the other one, we're going to take, the big tree's going to go here. We're going to put one of these trees over here, and it's okay if it hangs off a little bit, we'll just trim it off. One of them will go over here, and one of them will go right here. And again, it's okay if they hang off a little bit. So let's go ahead and put down these little ones first. At least the ones that are behind the big one. I like the varying heights. Just adds a little bit of something else to the card. And it's going to hang off a little. And we'll do this one. There we go. Okay. Now, we're going to bring in these pieces. And we're going to remember which is the top of our piece we just stamped. Oops, I had to cut those little edges off. It's not hanging over by much, but if it was a photograph, you wouldn't be seeing that off the edge. There we go. Okay, so this is the top. This is going to be the top. I'm going to turn over to the back side. We're going to set it in. I'm going to come in with some household tape. I always call it Scotch tape, but that's a brand name, not an actual tape. Tape them in. I'll do the same with this one. It's the front, turn it over. This is the top, turn it over. Tape it in. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Alright, now these little black frames are going to get mounted right here on the front of these. And again, I'm going to use the wet glue. You don't want much glue because you don't want it oozing out. So if you're more comfortable using the sponge or using this adhesive that would go on the back of it before you cut it out, that would probably be a good idea. Awesome. Frame. Go. Okay, now I have one more stamp to stamp. I have to stamp the sentiment on this one. So bring in the Memento ink. I'm going to practice. Get that straight. Okay. Right in the center of this bottom of this one with a car on it, we're going to stamp Happy Christmas. Perfect. Okay, now we can bring in the rest of our pieces and build up this card. Okay, we've got our card base. Let's move these over here a minute. And we've got a black layer. Now you could have cut these out of this, but I didn't want to do that. I could have probably fit them both, but I wasn't sure I could fit both of them, and so I just used a scratch paper. And there's not going to be much of a border at all on this. It's tiny. It's only a 1/16 inch smaller than the front, so you're just going to have that 32nd of an inch around the edge. Okay, then this piece from the Designer Series paper. It's going to get centered on that black piece, and this is going to have a 1/8 of an inch because it's a 1/4 inch difference, or almost 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Now, my thinking was I'm making a scrapbook. This is the picture when you're going to the woods to pick your Christmas tree, and that's the tree that we picked, so that one's going to go there first. And this is the tree on the way home on top of the Volkswagen Beetle. So that one's going to go there. So this one's a little higher, this one's a little lower. So let's glue this one down first. Make sure you get glue on both pieces because you want to make sure it stays stuck. So glue this one down first. Okay, now I'm going to bring in some dimensionals. I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of this one. And I'm going to make sure that they're covering both the frame and the square in the middle. This isn't a hard card, it's just a little bit fussy. A lot of little steps. It's definitely an avid card. Okay. Well, that one's going to go over here on this side, a little bit lower. Okay, now we're going to bring in 3 of those snowflakes. And we're going to put small dimensionals on the back of those, 1 on each one. And this is going to do 2 things. It's going to give it dimension, and it's going to hold all those little pieces in. So I kind of wanted them in there. Just gives it a little bit something else. Okay. So one's going to go down here. The other 2 are going to go up here. One's going to go right on this corner, just off of the frame. The other one's going to go right here next to it. Okay. Then we just have our finishing touches. We're going to come in with one of these basic rhinestones, and I'm going to put that inside this lantern so that it looks like it's lit. I'm going to take a few of these little snowflakes, I just need 5 of them, but they're like magnetic sticky. Okay, I'm going to put one here, one up here, one over here, and I think I'm going to bring in my take your pick tool. Tiniest little drop of glue because this glue does not dry. It dries clear, but it dries sticky. And then I'm going to put a couple over on this side. So I'm going to put one over here. One over here. Alright.
There's a card we just made together. There's one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.